RCP Montana.
You can tell that's the kids because adults are still tired.
We take roughly 60 staff members from 14 different churches, from a half dozen different cities, from 3 different states, and we squish them all together for a week. And we pour all kinds of fun activities and all kinds of stressful activities at times, challenging activities, wakeboarding and different things. And we mesh all that together and try to give kids a weak picture of what kind of Christ-like life is about. And sometimes we do it fairly well, and other times we work on doing it fairly well. But somehow in the mix of all that, God does something special. There's probably not a church in our valley that could say this many kids, this many people got saved in their church in the course of a week or a month, or even maybe even a year. That even the largest churches in our valley, I would dare say, probably don't have that many baptisms on a typical year. And that's not to put anyone up, down, or anything. It's just that God does something special in that environment. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I just know it happens. And you're sharing about Helen. I love that story because it's my story. And it's my wife's story. And it's really at the heartbeat of our heart for Camp Story. We're seeing that story being told again and again as many of our kids that started off 8 years ago as campers are now staff workers at ACP. And so we're seeing that transition beginning to happen. We have just a couple minutes left. I just want to open the floor. If there's something significant or special that maybe you experienced, a story that you want to share, I just want to invite you to do so at this time. So we'll just pass the mic around. If perhaps there's a couple, 3 or 4, or whatever folks, if there's just something you want to share with the group, something significant happened to you. Just speaking to the mic.
So I was the assistant counselor for 1G. So we went on the pontoon boat, and then Storm came in, and the pontoon boat
Everybody knows
broke.
the story.
Yeah, the storm. So then it started hailing and raining. So all the little girls were freaking out. But there were some of the girls who were crying, and then I saw these other ones come over and comfort them and pat them on the back and saying they're going to be okay. So I was really proud of them. They were helping everyone else, even though they were freaked out themselves.
Yeah, even though they were scared themselves. It does. Camp brings out the best in us. And sometimes not the best, but it also brings out the best. Tell me what I need to do.
My name is Darian, and I was an assistant counselor for 1B. And one thing that really touched me this week was baptizing the kids in my dorm, and
Yeah.
this really touched me, and it was just a great experience, and it was awesome.
You never know what's going to happen. I've heard counselors say, we go down to baptism day, and they realize one of their kids is getting baptized, and they didn't even know it. So you don't necessarily know what God's doing in the lives of these kids, even though you're living with them. But then sometimes He does show you those glimpses, and you recognize it. But sometimes it just happens, not by osmosis, but organically happens throughout the camp. So yeah, our counselors do a great job, Josh.
As you guys know, my name is Josh.
Hi, Josh.
I think that, yeah, Josh.
Oh, thanks.
My most, I think it was, I can't say that there was one point, it was the whole point, because I went up there Pastor Toby brought me in like Thursday evening at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, right before camp.
And I ran home and I packed up my stuff. I was so excited. I came up Friday to his house, helped pack up the truck. We get there and I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Second guessing myself. kids get there, and I meet my dorm, and I meet all the kids were out there tackling football, and we're just having a great time. And by the end of it, my whole dorm and more people walked out for my baptism. And it was more, I was a camper than I was a counselor. And in the end, I got that award because I have to thank you for the kids. The kids are what brought that award to me because they're the ones that touched my lives. So I just want to say thanks to the kids.
Hi. I was the head counselor for 2G, which most of you know was the biggest dorm. But I ended up having 2 atheist girls in my dorm. I only knew of one, but the entire week I felt like I was just crashing and burning because there was just so much drama and it was very, very hard. 26 or 24 girls that are just hitting puberty is not fun. Anyway, at the end of camp, I found out that both of the atheist girls came to Christ, and I was so happy. No, her mom said she wanted to be there, but I just knew that was all God, and it was pretty awesome.
I couldn't be there for all of the camp, and I drove jet skis, and there was one little guy there and a girl that actually knew me from Salvation Army Kids camps. I had taken my little guy, and I was an assistant to one of the leaders there, and I hadn't seen them for a while because I had to drop out of Salvation Army, so I saw him at camp, and it was wonderful. And AJ, I think Darian, you had AJ in your camp. He came down to jet skis, and he did not want to go on the jet skis. And he saw me driving, so he said, well, all right, I'll go. And so I had to drive like Patrick, like a granny. I had to drive really, really slow, and this kid watched my speedometer. He did not let me go over like 5. And he didn't want to leave the no-wake zone. I said, come on, let's just go out to where the buoys are, and then we'll reevaluate this. So we did that, and then I saw the pontoon boat. So I said, let's go out and say hi. And I just encouraged him to stay on the jet ski. And when we were heading back, I said, AJ, I'm really proud of you. You've conquered a fear. Well, I had to miss baptisms because I had to go back to work and miss part of camp. And I went online and I saw that AJ got baptized. And I was like, he conquered a bigger fear than being on that jet ski. He committed himself to the Lord. And I thank you guys, you did an awesome job. And I haven't told, I'm shaking like a leaf. I haven't told Jeffrey that I am on Facebook with him, so I'm going to share that story with him too. That's a success for the Lord.
Okay, I think I probably had one of the most wonderful jobs at camp because I was able to see the kids in moments where they were terrified, utterly terrified to do something. I mean, and adults. I had lots of adults terrified too. There was a lot of doubt in their lives too. They were like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I didn't want to get in the water. But I was able to see them and encourage them and build them up. I was able to say, you know, you can do it. And, you know, with my partner Josh, I wish he was here because he was a great boat driver, but there was one little girl who stands out that was so terrified. She was terrified of fish. She did not want to go in the water. She was so scared, and she's like, oh my gosh, is there, and it was, I gotta tell you something too, it was kind of funny, but she was terrified of fish. So she jumps into the water, right? And as she jumped in the water, I looked down, and there was the biggest fish I've ever seen in my whole entire life. This fish had to be about this big. And I'm thinking, she's like, at this point, she's like, and then she asked, is there any fish in here that are big enough to bite me? I'm like, oh, no, honey, you're fine. And Josh and I are looking at each other. I'm like, it's going to be fine. You're okay. You got this. Get it? And I have to say that by the end of that time, as we had in the water together, she comes up to me as we were, because I was in the water with her. She goes, you know what? I'm not afraid of fish anymore, and I'm not afraid of the water. So that was an amazing tribute. And because I just have to share one thing about B1. B1 had a little boy in there who was kind of like my son from another mother. What B? I'm sorry. So anyways, this little boy lost his mom when he was 2 years old. He lost his grandmother when he was 2 years old. He lost his great-grandmother last year. I love him. He's like my son to me. I was so happy. He actually showed up at camp because somebody had dropped out and a space opened up for him because he was meant to be there. He has been raised Catholic. He has not talked about his mom dying and all that pain that he felt. And when he was at camp Thursday night, he went to his counselor and he started talking about his mom and the feel of the loss of missing his mom and missing his dad. This is something that he's never talked to anyone about. His grandmother, everyone tries to talk to him about it. He doesn't talk to anybody. On Friday, he was baptized. So that is huge because this is a little boy who has probably one of the largest testimonies and stories he can tell for a 9-year-old child. And here he is at 9 years old, just turned 9, and basically most of his family has passed away. He's also lost his sister who died when he was, I think, 3. So that's a lot of loss for a little man. And here he is, and he is just a beautiful little boy, and he would just blessed us, I think, with his presence. And most of you didn't know his story, but to see him come to Christ and be baptized, I don't know. My own daughter was baptized that day, and I'm so blessed for her. However, she was already saved, and she just baptized herself. But seeing Ashton come just made my heart leap. And June's too. Sorry.
These two misunderstand. We're not teaching kids to wakeboard. We're not teaching kids to jet ski. We're not teaching kids to make ice cream. We're teaching them about themselves and about Christ. All these other things are just tools. They're just tools in the mix that create the environment where that relational part of it gets it.
So I was in dorm 3B and my counselor was Josh, and it was a real pleasure being at that camp. It was my first year, and I came some of the people in their dorm, and they were just jerks to everyone. And by the end of the week, they were some of the nicest people there. It was really, really a pleasure watching people change. And on Thursday night, me and a group of the people up there, we decided to go up the mountain. We were up on the top of the mountain, and we prayed, and that was the most beautiful thing I ever experienced. It was great.
This guy won a ton of awards. Somehow or another, I missed those photos. They're probably there somewhere. But he won a ton of awards, and we just didn't have it in the slideshow.
The thing I found this year was amazing was to watch some of our kids who've grown up and now are staffers, like Haley. In her first year, she worked with me as a staffer. And then watching her grow, and Brittany, her first year, and some of these other staffer kids who are now wanting to be staff as soon as they're older. And even some of the kids who are regulars who come back every year making comments, I can't wait till I'm 16, I get to be a staffer. And it was cool. And then to see other kids who've come over different things, like when I brought the cow tongue a couple years ago, Austin, wherever he just went, and Cheyenne wouldn't touch it. This year, they were the fastest little kids trying to go after that darn cow tongue. And it was just cool because they wouldn't touch it before. And to see them come over their fears that now I can do this is really cool.